Yo, 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 what is up? What is up? It's Ken. We're back. We're in the building with another Lines in the Sands podcast. I got my guy Brett. He is joining me today. Brett, what is going on this evening? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How you doing today, Keith?
I'm good. And gonna talk about some wrestling tonight. Hopefully, we be joined by some more people. But if not, it is all right. We got this. Raw. Did you watch Raw? What'd you think of Raw?
I thought it was one of the better episodes that they had in a while, honestly.
See Cody Rhodes go crazy. Like, what do you think about this Cody Rhodes going after Brock thing? Is that more? I mean, we all know they say Vince is not in charge of creative and Triple H is strictly running creative. That sounds like a Vince McMahon type of thing. What do you think?
No, it's frustrating. It is because I'm all for Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. I have no doubt that is going to be an absolutely phenomenal match. It just really does feel like they should have pulled the trigger on this Cody Rhodes title win already. They should have done it at Mania. And now we get a rehash of John Cena's road to redemption from 2012 after he lost to The Rock. So, like, I'm excited because I think this match is going to be really good and the build has been really strong. So I'll take it. But I really feel like that they had a chance to really make their own original story here, and they just chose instead to copy and paste the story from 2012.
Right, like we've seen this already. I mean, Cody Rhodes is his own person. We already seen the struggles of John Cena. We've seen him winning title shot after title shot, being champion after champion. Then he finally loses it, and then build him back up to make him have some type of tragedy. I feel like if you're going to build him up, meaning Cody, I mean, show everything that he's done, even back to Stardust, dashing Cody Rhodes, like build him up that way. Don't go after Brock. Of all people, Brock Lesnar. Why Brock? I thought this was supposed to be his last match and we was done with Brock.
And let's just hope that the end result is actually Cody Rhodes winning, unlike that really weird. I remember being so confused watching his return match against John Cena in 2012, and then he comes out and loses. And then they try to promote that as part of his hard time story angle. It's like, come on. Dude pulled off a victory against Brock. Not a lot of people can say they did that. So,
right. And then he goes on Raw. He beats up 99 security guards. I'm like, this is not the Cody we used to see him beating up security guards. But it is official. That will be the match of Backlash. It's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. I don't think that match will be long because Brock can't do long matches. I don't even know what to say about that match. That match is not going to be very long. We already know this because Brock can't do no more than 10 minutes. No more than what, 8 minutes?
I think it's going to be like a fun, like 10, 15 minute sprint. Like it's going to be a fun one. I think that's about what Brock just does now. We know Brock can go longer. It's just that he knows he doesn't need to at this point. Like we've seen Brock go for long stretches, but not in the year 2023. He knows that he can go in, hit his big moves, pop the crowd, talk some crap, and he's got the crowd in the palm of his hand, so why even bother having a longer match?
Which is Suplex City a couple times, then you got to get your spear, and then you have 5. Match over. match over. But the Omos match, you can tell he had to work for that because his back is hurting on that match. But what about the Bloodline? As you looking at it more, seem like their focus is on Solo more. I mean, the Usos are kind of in the back burner because they lost, but now they're really focusing in on Solo Sikoa, and I think it's time maybe for Solo to be Solo. And now the Bloodline is with Judgment Day now. I like how Heyman was trying to talk to Solo, and then Rhea Ripley was just staring. Do you think they would do Rhea Ripley versus Solo? That would be an interesting match. But I know it's going to be something for Judgment Day in the Bloodline.
And I don't think they will, but I do think that what they did was absolutely perfect because they kept all the rivalries fresh by not necessarily having them interact with each other. Like, I don't really need to see another Usos and Solo versus Sammy KO and Matt Riddle interaction. Right. But having them, fight Judgment Day, now you kept that story, fresh. and now you set up a story possibly where Judgment Day and Bloodline can now have a match because Judgment Day didn't live up to their end of the bargain. So I thought it was phenomenal. I don't think they'd actually do Solo versus Rhea. Just I think it's just because those are two of the most guys they're trying to protect right now. So who wins?
Yeah, that's a dream match. I mean, China got in the ring and for it, guys. Why not Rhea Ripley? But that definitely was interesting. But I think we're going to get. Are we going to get Bad Bunny and Ray? You think versus Priest and Dominic?
I think so. That looks like that's what they're building up towards. I can't see why else they'd have Priest choke slam him through the table.
And plus, Bad Bunny wasn't bad when he for him to be in the ring for that little bit of time. I didn't think he was a bad performer. I think he could be their spur of the moment type of thing, kind of like Logan Paul, but he wasn't a bad performer.
He was honestly my favorite celebrity performer until Logan Paul came around. Like, to me, like, he was right up there, like, in terms of having an actual match, because I think the greatest celebrity crossover for WWE will always be Tyson in '98.
Right.
But in terms of having an actual wrestling match, yeah, I think it was Bad Bunny until Logan Paul came. So I think my top three there would be Logan Paul, Bad Bunny, and probably the Floyd Mayweather Big Show match at WrestleMania was fun.
That was funny. Yeah, but that's looking like the move, especially when Priest and Bunny were kind of like friends, and now they kind of split up. With Priest hitting him, and we all know that's the move. But I'm sure LWO could get involved. I think that's great that they brought them back. So I'm kind of liking that fraction too. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in a match, maybe with Judgment Day with all three. Who knows what to say? But Raw wasn't too bad this week. SmackDown, I didn't really watch SmackDown. I seen bits and pieces, or I heard bits and pieces. We know Roman's not going to be on TV for a while. There's rumors that can't Sammy and KO could lose the belts. So I'm like, oh God, why? They just got them. Like, who are they dropping it to? If you say the Street Profits, okay, I wouldn't be mad at that, but can you let Sammy and KO live a little bit? Let them be great.
Well,
let them have a long title reign.
Like, who have they built up to a point where it'd be believable them beating Sammy and KO? Street Profits lost already. They lost on the Raw after Mania, that crap show, and then they just beat the Usos. So unless you're gonna have the Usos win them back in that championship rematch next week. But in all reality, if they can't go to Saudi Arabia to compete, then probably just
that makes sense.
Leave them off the show.
I'm tired of them going to Saudi. Like, why do y'all have to go over there every year? What's the big deal in Saudi Arabia? Knowing certain superstars can't go over there. Why?
Money.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
No,
so Night of the Champions is going to be in Saudi. It was going to be King of the Ring, but Vince don't like tournaments for some reason. So now it's going to be the Night of Champions. So everybody's putting their belts on the line. I'm assuming that's what that is. I just don't know how I feel about that, but I would love to see the King of the Ring tournament come back old school. We had classic King of the Ring winners: Bret Hitman Hart, Stone Cold. That's when he brought out the 316. Booker T and his King Booker. It's King of the Ring can just go on and on as one of the best events WWE's had, and then for them not to bring it back, that's a historical pay-per-view, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way they should do it is, I love the way they did it with Brock in 2002 when it was, here's the King of the Ring tournament. If you win, you get a title match. That year was at SummerSlam. But like, to me, that makes sense. Hey, you win the King of the Ring tournament, they should get a title match in the future. So I think they should bring it back and bring back the stipulation that they get a title match if they win the whole thing, because then it means something,
right? If it's at least not a title shot, maybe Intercontinental or something,
right? Like, it doesn't even need to be a world title, just a title match,
right? So if you're not going to be in line for the WWE title, at least in a Continental title shot, a secondary belt of some sort, like you said, make it meaningful. I think they should do maybe not say some type of tag team tournament because there's not that many tag teams either. So maybe they tried to do that didn't work either. But no, King of the Ring is classic, and I like how they implemented the Queen of the Ring as well. That was cool. I mean, I didn't like Sabina Vega joining it, Zelina Vega. But I'm just like, of all people, why her? So I mean, we have enough women in this division somehow to shake it up. All right, y'all give them a title shot somewhere down the line. But they just completely squashed the King of the Ring idea. They already had the name patent, the Queen of the Ring, everything, and then just down in the dumps to some Night of Champions. This pay-per-view better be worth it.
It's a Saudi Arabia show. They really never are. I only have bad memories from those shows.
And so that means it's going to start but early, like around 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon our time. So it's going to start super duper early on a Saturday, or Sunday. Well, it's usually Saturdays now. So pay-per-views are not meant for Sundays no more. For WWE, it looks like. But I'm not liking the Night of Champions. But what else is on here that we had to discuss? I know it was a lot of things we had to talk about. And then we can talk about the Goldberg thing you brought up in the group chat, talking about his retirement tour. Nobody wants to see Goldberg. But CM Punk, Jericho, all this is going down. I think Jericho said he wouldn't mind if CM Punk came back. AEW, I know we're jumping all around, but AEW is going to Wembley Stadium. That's going to be huge because wrestling hasn't been over there in a while since WWE was over there. What do you think about AEW going to Wembley?
I like it. The name of the pay-per-view is All In, and I like the fact they're going all in for this pay-per-view. It is fantastic. I like it. If it pans out, great. If it doesn't, they can adjust and reevaluate for next year, but I do love the fact that they're trying a stadium. I think that they got to really just pull out all the stops to make sure that this goes well. Maybe see if Mercedes Monet's doing anything at that near around that time. You can put her versus Britt Baker, two of the biggest names in women's wrestling right now.
Right.
I know they're talking about doing Punk Jericho when he comes back. Let's be real. I've seen Punk and Jericho. You want to sell out Wembley's? Give me Punk versus Omega.
Oh, yeah, man.
Of course, if you can get them to get along to do a program and a match, even the build up to that match would probably sell out half of Wembley's just after like a couple interactions, or FTR and CM Punk versus the Elite. Like, I like it, but I feel like the biggest thing they got to do is see if they can get CM Punk and at least Kenny Omega on the same page. Because I think that's your main event right there, or your big special attraction match to sucker everybody in.
It's just funny because when we was talking about CM Punk and I was in the car and Call of Personality came on, I was just like, oh, that's going to be stuck in my head. It's a sign. CM Punk going. But you did go to AEW last week, didn't you?
I did. I was there. It was a fun time.
So I've been to AEW event. If y'all have not been to AEW event, it's absolutely amazing. It's incredible. So was that your first one?
No, I've been to a couple.
So how was it? How was it last week?
Oh, it was tons of fun. Of course, I got to see the return of Jeff Hardy. That really caught me off guard. The crowd went wild for that one. Otherwise,
he looks so. I know he's been through some things with drinking and the drug problem. I'm just like, dang, you aged like 99 years. But it was good to finally see him back. He did the Swanton and everything. That was definitely cool. They should at least have them tag team champions before one last time before it's all said and done.
I'd say that was like one of the cleaner Swantons he did since going to AEW too. Like I just hope for all the best for Jeff Hardy. Like, I know he's had his issues. I'm hoping he's able to put them all away at least for one last run, and hopefully beyond that. Because I really would hate if Jeff Hardy, what we remember him by, is being an alcoholic and addicted to painkillers and everything. So I really hope that Jeff's clean. I hope he's sober. I'm praying for him. Let's hope that we get one last really good Hardy Boys reunion run before they call it a career.
Well, he already got his licenses privileges stripped away, I think, for like 10 years. He has to do like some type of breathalyzer if he was to no. So he got a lot of things he has to do. Um, so I don't think he want to jeopardize that. Just you have money, just hire you a chauffeur to drive you everywhere, or somebody in your camp can drive you. Do not get behind the wheel, Jeff. Like just be on the up and up. Like you got the big pop. I'm sure they're gonna find something for you to do. It's just we want to see you healthy and in wrestling. So it was awesome that he came back. I seen it. The crowd went crazy. I know everybody was like, "What?"
Yeah, we were all really confused or caught off guard because there was nothing about Jeff Hardy in the rumor mills or anything.
Yeah, that was a complete shocker at all. Like wasn't expecting that. What else happened that night?
I'll say we saw the Elite come back and attack the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm really hoping we get that in like a blood and guts match because that would be phenomenal. I'm looking forward to seeing those two teams finally square up.
Yeah, AEW starting to pick up a little bit when WWE had their little down spurts. AEW started picking. I'm like, all right, AEW trying to get back in the picture. They still need to try to figure out their women's division situation, like who they gonna have as champion, who the hell is gonna be Jade Cargill, what are they gonna do with her? Do they drop the title? Do she get the women's title? Like we just don't know. It's good to see Adam Cole back though. It's good to see him bounce back, but. What did they do with this women's division, and who's going to drop, or what should Jade do next?
See, that's so tough because Jade's pretty much run through everybody in that division multiple times. So that's really where that one gets tough for me. Because at this point, it almost feels like you have to bring in an outsider to really fight and finally beat her. Like Mercedes or something. Not saying it's going to be Mercedes, but that's the hard part in picking out who's going to beat Jade. She just straight up run through everybody. Unless you're going to drop I think the only person she hasn't beaten is Britt Baker, but I doubt they're going to drop Britt Baker to the TBS title. Unless if Jamie Hayter's dropping the title and then going to challenge Jade, but I don't really see that, or a title unification match. But we've had enough of those this year.
I know they're going to have Forbidden Door Part 2, so I'm sure that's going to come out. Maybe Jade can fight Sasha Monet. That definitely would be interesting because that's all who will be left. But would you make her? That's the thing. Would you make? They should have Sasha beat her because she's been so dominant. She has to drop him. She has to drop a match. She has to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then there's a lot of extra publicity for Sasha carrying the title. Say she's a really big name, and she's a big name outside of wrestling. She's had a cameo in The Mandalorian. She's got connections, as we all know. So yeah, no, I'd be down for Mercedes coming in and beating Sasha. Beating Jade.
No, most definitely. But no, AEW starting to be back on the rise with story things. You still got MJF. Got Bryan Danielson turning heel. You got him the heel turn. You think about the heel turn.
I love it. I love Daniel Bryan as a heel. He's a phenomenal heel, as we saw when he was the Planet's champion. I think it was an absolutely great decision. The entirety of the Blackpool Combat Club being a heel is just perfect. And I'm looking forward to see them do battle with the Elite. I really can't wait for I'm sure Hangman's going to join up with the Elite too, and that's going to be an absolutely epic battle. Them using that screwdriver, man, that was brutal to watch.
Right. Let me see what is coming up. I'll probably get a preview of tomorrow's AEW.
I know they got Wardlow versus Hobbs tomorrow. That's going to be a fun one.
Oh God, Wardlow versus Hobbs, Jesus. I mean that should be interesting. Is Hobbs still the champion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why
Jericho and Adam Cole coming face to face.
Ooh, that's definitely going to be interesting.
I,
Um,
I was so happy. Like after the show, you know what's really funny? After the show, I got a picture with Adam Cole. It was by complete like accident too, because what actually was happening was we were gonna stay later at the show because it was still going on. They were doing Ring of Honor tapings,
mhm.
but then my parking pass was gonna expire in 15 minutes. So we had to leave before the parking pass expired, and we happened to park at the same hotel where the wrestlers were staying at. So that's when we were walking. You know, my grandpa, my cousin went to use the restroom, and I was like, I'll go get the car real quick. I walked over there. The three people I saw, Jim Ross was getting out of his car. Didn't want to bother him. He, you know,
Right.
he's older. He was having some troubles. It looks like so. Didn't want to bother him. So just hey, great show. Love seeing you. Call again. But then you look over a little further, and there's Adam Cole signing autographs and Britt Baker too. By the time I made it over and got the picture with Cole, Britt had already won inside. And once I get into the hotel, I don't want to bother
Right.
them. So yeah, no, it was great. Adam Cole is such a phenomenal guy. He's an absolute class act.
Adam Cole, baby, that's dope though. Oh, I probably wouldn't know what to do if I, got a picture with a celebrity. No, I remember the one. I do remember one year I went to see I forget when, but I seen Carlito drive off. He was in his car, and I forget what he was driving. I'm like, really, Carlito? Did my phone really just die? It really did. So I don't have the list in front of me. But Jay White is fighting somebody on Wednesday.
I know she's been feuding with Taya Valkyrie. I'm not sure if that's the match that's happening on Wednesday.
It could be, but WWE. I know we switching back and forth, but going back to the whole WWE thing. I know one of the topics was what can they do to salvage the women's title, WWE titles for the tag team for the women's? Should they try to improve it, or just get rid of it altogether?
Oh man, I really want to see them improve it, but it really doesn't feel like they almost care enough to. So at this point, I want to say they should probably just get rid of it because it really just doesn't feel like they care enough to try to salvage it. Like Damage Control won it, their run was lackluster. Becky and Lita won it, then their run was lackluster. Sasha and Bailey won it inaugurally, then lost it 2 weeks later. Like they don't seem to care about it. I'm sure that they can keep the titles on Raquel and was it Liv and Raquel that just won it?
Mm-hmm.
Keep the titles on them, give them a nice long run to try to bring some legitimacy to the titles while building up the division. They could, but I don't think they will. So at this point, I really feel like they should just get rid of the titles altogether.
Yeah, because it's so stupid. Like the women don't need a tag team. In my opinion, I think it should be one belt for the women and have them just bounce. I understand, Raw went their own champion, SmackDown, but I just feel like it'll be more feuds that way. If you just have one champion bounce, then they can all fight everybody. Because I still think the women's division could be better than it is. They have the talent.
Right.
They just got to do something with it.
Or just like get rid of the tag team. If you want to bring in a different title, just bring in another singles title and just have it be like, hey, this champion can fight either Raw or SmackDown. Call it whatever you want, but like then you got fresh feuds. You don't have to throw together bizarrely makeshift tag teams at the last second.
Yeah, kind of had like a women's intercontinental or something. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of had like NXT has the NXT, and then you got the world. I mean, the North American champion. I mean, it's kind of like the Intercontinental Championship. I feel like maybe the women should have a secondary. I mean, AEW has a secondary. Well, why not get a secondary for the women? Just get rid of the tag team title. Nobody wants to see that the tag team titles. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, they had their chance with them, and they really dropped the ball hard. And I'm just not sure how you salvage it at this point.
Yeah. Speaking of tag team, Trish Stratus, we all saw this coming. Turned on Becky Lynch. What about heel Trish?
Oh yeah, no, heel Trish. She came out and cut that promo on Monday. It was absolutely fire. heel Trish was one of the more underrated heels of the early 2000s that maybe doesn't get talked about enough. So I'm absolutely stoked for this. I think it's going to be a really fun program between her and Becky. And I think it's going to be an absolute banger of a match. And I'm just excited to see how the story progresses. With it being
Backlash?
I think there's rumors that they want to have it at SummerSlam. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how they build it up. Or keep it going that
you mean
long.
to tell me they're going to be, okay, long-term booking. I'm all for it. Long-term booking, I get it. But then you're going to have some type of interaction between them now. I mean, you can't just. If they're going to have a feud that long, I'm sure they're going to have some type of counters and interactions from now to August. I mean, it's about to be dead.
They might even have a match at some point in between then with like a shady finish that leads to a rematch at SummerSlam. But that'd probably be my best guess, honestly, because I'm not sure how those two are going to string together a feud that long.
Right. And Lita, I mean, Trish did look better than Lita did when it came to wrestling wise. I just felt like Lita kind of missed some of her steps and was sloppy, but Trish looked better out the two. So, I mean, I think they can put on a good match. And who's going to fight who's the next contender for Bianca?
Oh, next contender for Bianca? That's really tough.
This is where the draft comes into play. And the draft will be back. Finally, the draft is back. Don't know when, but the draft is coming in a few weeks. We can definitely see a lot of shakeups. I could see Judgment Day going to SmackDown, though.
Yeah, I think Bianca's next challenger, it's probably not coming to my head right now because her next challenger probably is on SmackDown, honestly. Because they're pretty fresh out of faces on Raw for her to beat.
Yeah, so they're gonna shake things up. I think Bianca stays on Raw. Rhea Ripley's gonna go to SmackDown, and so is Judgment Day. They're gonna go over there, probably feud with some different people. Will they bring Gunther the Raw? That'll be interesting. Intercontinental Champion on Raw. Maybe put Theory or US had a US over there on SmackDown. Probably flip flop. For KO, they go from back short to show different shows. So I don't know where their home is going to be, but
I think a fun idea for Judgment Day is you can bring them over to SmackDown, and if Eric Redbeard ain't doing anything, you can bring him back, and then you can have Judgment Day versus a reunited Wyatt family.
Right, because Bray has been off of camera, and I did see some rumors that they should get rid of Uncle Howdy and bring back Eric. That have the Wyatt family. That would be kind of dope.
Or just bring back the Fiend.
Yeah, bring back. Don't make him so superhuman though. I mean, they kind of messed that up when he had that run, and then they had that crazy behind finish of the Hell in a Cell with some type of the DQ. What? Since when is there a DQ in Hell in a Cell? That was hard. That was horrible. I don't know who did that, who booked that, who put that in there's not a DQ in Hell in a Cell. You can't be disqualified. Anything goes in that match.
Yeah, that's what killed me about that match. It's like if you really don't want either guy to lose, just don't book the match. Like that's not a match that needed to be booked, and all you did was hurt everybody involved.
Right. Or you should have made it a regular match and not a cage or a Hell in a Cell with knowing it can't be DQ. Or the regular singles match, it could have been a no contest. Nobody wins. But don't give us that, it's a DQ match in the Hell in a Cell. We all know, since the time we've been watching wrestling, there is no DQ in the Hell in a Cell.
Just when I thought they were rebuilding the Fiend back up, here comes Goldberg in Saudi Arabia.
Do you think we'll see Alexa Bliss come back?
Probably I wouldn't see why not. I don't think her contract's coming up or anything.
I know she's been out. I know she was dealing. Didn't she have some type of skin or cancer or something?
Yeah.
So we'll see her come back and see where they put her in at. I know they had her trying to be Fiend-like. I'm like, okay, so y'all going to rebrand her? Are y'all gonna have her be with the Wyatts and the Bray? Like, what are we doing?
I'll say, like, if you do like Bray Wyatt and Wyatt family versus Judgment Day, you can bring Alexa back to be with them to counteract the Rhea Ripley problem. So that could be one idea, possibly.
That would be good. That'll be dope. It's just I just want to see more what they do with the women's division because they do have so much talent there that they're not using. Bring up some this. I think this is when we see some NFC call ups. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. At this point, give it to me. Give me some more NXT ladies. Bring up who? I'm not sure who they should all call up from NXT. But I'm just ready to see some fresh faces in these divisions, and I think that would help the women's division go a long way on Raw and SmackDown.
I don't know who's ready in NXT to be called up on the women's side. I do know not Carmelo, he's a champ, but Cameron Grimes, I think he should be called up. Braun Breaker, it's time. He dropped the title. It usually that means it's time to move on. Bring Gargano back.
I think you could have a Braun Breaker come up, and I think he could be a good candidate to be the one to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title.
Ooh.
Because he was the last one to hand Gunther a loss on NXT. Him or Ilya Dragunov. So I think if I had to pick somebody to end Gunther's reign, it'd probably be one of those two, and I think Braun Breaker's the more likely candidate. So.
Yo, Dragunov is one crazy guy. Yo, his strength is crazy. Like that, the stand and deliver match. I thought he was going to win that. Actually,
yeah, I remember watching him beat Gunther and ending his long title reign, and it was my first time seeing him. And I was like, "Holy cow!" Because he was wild. It was just an absolutely brutal match, and I was so here for it. So you know what? If they bring him back to have a rematch with Gunther on the main roster, give it to me. Like, give it to me at like Money in the Bank or something. Give it a match in the UK.
Right. I think they're gonna have. I don't know if they're gonna have him win it, but I wouldn't be mad if they have LA Knight win Money in the Bank.
I absolutely agree. I think he should be the one to win it. Because at this point, like, I think the only ones that really, I feel like LA Knight is probably the most popular one that would make sense because Sammy's popular, but they're obviously not going to have him beat Roman.
Right.
And the issue with him is I feel like he would want to do it the honorable way and cash in ahead of time, and at that point, the end result.
Right.
Cody,
or are they going to have him cash in like Theory did for the U.S. title? Come on, don't cash in on the U.S. title. Who does that?
Right. And then you could have Cody win it, but I don't think you really need Cody to win it.
No.
So at that point, who's left? I think your best option after that is LA Knight.
Right. Eventually, Cody will defeat Roman. It's just a matter of when, and I think it's going to be SummerSlam. They take the title off. I think they want him to surpass the 1,000 day maybe for him to drop it.
Yeah, that's where I think they'll drop it too. Because once again, it just comes back to, I think the only feud left for him after that would be, I think Seth Rollins deserves a rematch against him. But
yeah, Seth definitely deserves a shot because he's been holding it down, and Seth is one of the faces on the show. Just his theme song alone, people sing along with it with no music.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then of course too, he's the only guy that Roman didn't beat in his title reign. He lost by disqualification. So I really think at this point that'd be the only real avenue to take, unless you're prepping Gunther for a WrestleMania 40 title win.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that either. I know Gunther's out for a big push, so I definitely wouldn't mind that. Drew McIntyre, what's going on with Drew? He blacked out Twitter. His contract is up. Is this the last time we see Drew McIntyre?
I don't think so. I think they'll end up agreeing to a new deal. In fact, they just might have, and he might just be playing everybody. But if he does end up hitting the free agent market, I would expect Tony Khan to be calling him day one as soon as he can. Because you got a show in the UK to sell. Bring in Drew.
Right.
Bring in Drew to help sell out Wembley's.
That would be a crazy pop. Drew McIntyre shows up in All Out in Wembley. Oh my goodness!
And there's so many.
And Angela.
And there's so many fun opponents that would just be absolutely hard hitting and a really fun match. Like you could throw Drew versus Claudio, or even Drew versus someone like Eddie Kingston.
Oh man!
Like there's so many great opponents you can throw him with. So I think as soon as if WWE does let him hit free agency, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm calling him right away. Be like, yo, how much do you want? Even if it's just a one-off, like how much to work for me for 2 months and help me sell some tickets in Wembley's.
Right. Like a dream opportunity would be have a WWE champion versus an AEW champion. Like I know we would never get that, but just Intercontinental versus I don't know what the other secondary title is over there, but it's have the best tag team versus. Can you imagine FTR versus Sammy and KO?
Oh, that would be an absolute banger. MJF and Roman would be something else. There wouldn't be a baby face in that match.
I know, heel versus heel. That would, I don't know. That would be kind of crazy. I know Roman can go to distance in matches, and MJF could put him to the test. That would be interesting. That would be dope.
It would be, and then they would almost have to reform. I'm sure he'd reform the Pinnacle, so we'd have Bloodline versus Pinnacle. And overall, I think that
Rhea Ripley versus Jade.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you could have like Bianca versus Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see some of the WWE women fighting AEW's women division. That would be pretty. Bianca versus Britt Baker.
I think another good one would be you could run Judgment Day versus House of Black.
Ooh, oh man. Take my money. Just take my money. Right. Here, take it all. Take it all. Just, that definitely would be cool. I mean, we can dream. We can dream about those type of matches. You will never see that happen.
No, absolutely not.
But we can imagine. I'm sure we can break down storylines and pretend we'll go on. But what else? Like I said, my phone died, so I'm going off of memory. Goldberg's tour, his retirement tour. You the one broke the chat so Goldberg wants to have a retirement tour.
Good for Goldberg. He's got the money. If that's what he wants to do, let him do it. He'll be happy. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will still pay to see him. Like
Goldberg, but your matches are going to be 5 minutes, so you're going to give the people 5 minutes of their time. 5 to 7 minutes of their time.
That's kind of the issue. It's like Goldberg's on the card. Like, are you going to pay all this money to watch a 2-minute Goldberg match where he just spear jackhammer done?
Yeah.
Like, if I was doing a fitting end for Goldberg, genuinely, I think it would be a one-out. And I know it sounds cringy, but I think the perfect spot for Goldberg to retire in a dream scenario would probably be a one-off match on AEW on TBS in Atlanta. Because, it all began on Ted Turner Station against WWE, in the Monday Night Wars. So I think a perfect spot for him would be a one-off match. Build an entire show around the return and retirement of Goldberg, and then let him squash somebody in the main event in his home crowd. I'm sure it'd pop a rating. But I'm sure if that was on the table, him and Tony would have already came to an agreement about that. So at the end of the day, whatever makes Goldberg happy. If he wants his four city retirement match, let it happen.
We joked around and said Ric Flair versus Goldberg. I said, oh, God, that match would be horrible. You talking about botches and the sloppiness. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, oxygen tank on a pole match. After a couple of minutes, none of them would be able to breathe anyway.
Can you imagine Ric Flair getting Goldberg in a figure four? Or I don't know if Goldberg would want to. I don't know if Goldberg would want to spear Rick. I think he might kill him with that. Like
he would just end up knocking his pacemaker right out of him. Like
Ric Flair don't need to wrestle no more. Goldberg, if you want to go out with your retirement tour, have at it. But WWE ain't giving it to you.
Right. I don't think any big company is giving it to. I think your only outside chance is probably going to be AEW. But overall, I think Goldberg should have just retired after. In all reality, after his match with Brock Lesnar for the title at WrestleMania. I think realistically, the match he should have retired after too, the second best retirement he could have had, was against Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
He came out short, sweet. Dolph made him look like $1 million. He made him look like the old Goldberg for one night. If he would have retired after that, I would have been very satisfied with my Goldberg experience, but then he had to come back and wrestle the Fiend and really start messing things up, and then he had a match with he had that brutal match with Taker right before Ziggler, so.
It's funny because how your picture is, you're under Seth Rollins. So, so all you see is Seth's hair with your head on his video. It's like a perfect fit. Like you gotta go after, then you gotta go back and watch it. Just see you see it. So all you needed to do. The Hurt Business. Could we see the Hurt Business, or are we not going to see the Hurt Business? I still think it's a perfect idea to bring back the Hurt Business.
I think it is. I just don't think they're going to pull the trigger at this point because what's the holdup? Why haven't you pulled the trigger yet if it was going to happen already? Like, what is Omos doing that he can be in the Hurt Business? What's Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander?
Nothing. They're in catering.
Or even like the Street Profits, if you want to throw them in the mix. What's Bobby Lashley really doing?
Holding that big ass trophy around. Like nobody wants to carry that trophy around.
Right. Like have Omos hold it for you in the Hurt Business. But like it's just one of those things where it's like if it was gonna happen, it should have happened already. So I really don't think we're seeing the Hurt Business at this point. I hope I'm wrong because I really did enjoy the Hurt Business. MVP was a fantastic mouthpiece.
Like Triple H was starting to form fractions, and they were good. You already got Judgment Day, you got the Bloodline. I mean, why not have another fraction? It's okay to be in a fraction as long as it works. Like, so AEW is the kings of fractions. They even got a trios tag. They even got a trios title. So, I mean, fractions are not all bad.
Yeah, no, factions when done right are great. Absolutely. I love the trios title over in AEW. I know some people don't, but I personally enjoy it because the faction warfare has always been one of my favorites. Not to mention, they don't really have bad matches. 6-man tag, there's always something happening.
It is. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with the Hurt Business, but I would love to see the Hurt Business get put back together. It's right there. Just pull the trigger and say, all right, let's go. Get Bobby Lashley back to the dominant self. Don't have him, Andre the Giant, carrying this big old trophy around. WrestleMania, I felt so bad for him WrestleMania because you're like, how do you not give Lashley a match? Then you come out, have him bring this big ass trophy out. And I know he wasn't about to walk all the way down that ramp because I wouldn't. Nope. So we don't know what's going to happen with Lashley. We don't know who he's going to be feuding with next. I don't know who's next for Theory.
Hey, maybe Shane McMahon will heal up and can have Shane versus Theory, right?
Shane busted his quad. He ain't coming back.
I really hope not.
You need to get Ricochet a title. Ricochet need to be by himself and get pushed for the title. Break up Alpha Academy. I know, shoes. That's the only thing I like about Chad Gable is the shoes. But no, I think it's time for him to go solo.
I agree, and I think that this Otis has a lot of potential. The story with him and the Maximum Male Models.
God. Why? Just why?
I think Chad Gable's a phenomenal performer, and he would be a great mid card Intercontinental champion. I truly think so, and I think it is the perfect time to split them up. I 100% agree with you there. Let Otis spread his wings.
Otis.
And let Chad Gable go on an amazing run of matches in one-on-one competition.
One thing I need to say is, what the hell happened with Keith Lee? What are they doing with my guy? I can't stand it. He went from NXT champion to being a North American champion at the same time. You call him up, Vince does him dirty. Vince says, "Oh, well, you need to lose weight." He did this. He said the same thing about Otis. "Oh, y'all need to lose weight." Otis big ass got to stay on, but he didn't. Mind you, he was fighting COVID and everything else, and he was fighting with WWE to keep his name. Like, really? Y'all not gonna let this man keep his name? Keith Lee is his government. So you really gonna trademark his government name. So I wanted to go somewhere else. You won't let me use my name? No. So that was a big reason why he was off of TV as well. He was fighting that, and then they was gonna have Adam Cole be his manager. Like, they did Keith dirty. They did Keith Lee so dirty. What the hell is a beer cat?
No, that confused the crap out of me too. I absolutely hated what they did with Keith Lee in WWE. One of their biggest missed opportunities. Because that's what confused me too. They're like the bear cat. Keith Lee's like, what the hell's a bear cat? Me. Y'all making crap up now on me. Come on. Hey, it's all right.
AEW. He was a tag team with Swerve, which was good. You know, I just felt like he put on some weight, but he still was doing Keith Lee like things. He still was agile. He still was his high flying self. And I'm just like, is it me, or do I feel like Keith Lee put on a little bit more pounds, like a little bit extra beefy? And now I don't know what the hell they got him doing.
No, I really don't know either, because he came back and yeah, he looked bigger, and then all of a sudden his hair is now like completely gray. Like, what the heck did they do to you? Like, you've aged like 20 years in like.
Well, he already had the gray, but you know he just dyed it because his beard's gray.
Yeah,
so they just said F it, let it go. Like,
I think that's what threw me off, because when he came back like full gray, I'm like, holy cow! Like, what are we doing? Like, it still works. It doesn't really bother me that much. It just confused me at first, but at least they're trying to do something with him. I see they're doing that rivalry now between him and Swerve. That'll be a fun match whenever they pay that off.
Would, because we all seen, and Swerve is amazing. Swerve, so I'm sorry, there's no Hit Row without Swerve, and that's where the downfall left. Just don't have Hit Row no more. And Michael Cole still would never let Dollar live, because ain't nobody tell him to go over the top and do some type of suicide dive and fail.
I absolutely think that bringing back Hit Row, to me, when they first brought him back, I thought it was the worst idea ever. Now I think it's the absolute greatest, just because of this Michael Cole and Top Dollar feud. He had me.
He would never level it down. It's like when Titus fell down the ramp. What was that? The world greatest match or whatever it was. Titus fell down the ramp. That was hilarious.
The greatest Royal Rumble, where the Saudis wanted like Yokozuna and them to come.
That wasn't no greatest Royal Rumble. That was trash.
No, I agree.
The highlight was Titus falling. That was the highlight of the whole pay-per-view. Titus falling.
Yeah, that absolutely killed me when I saw right before like reports like, oh, the Saudi government wants like Yokozuna at the Saudi event. When they did the first one.
They did not know Yoko's dead. Like,
right, that's like, this dude's been dead for like 15 years. Like,
oh man, it's just crazy. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen. You know, since I guess they say Triple H is in charge. So we'll see how things go. He did announce a draft. We'll see what the shakeup's going to be. It's not going to be Stephanie out there delivering, announcing everybody. That was her job. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting shakeup whenever the draft is going to be, and I'm I'm all for it because we need something new because it's getting stale right now.
As long as they don't do something stupid and try to like reintroduce the wild card rule, I'm down. Because that was the absolute most mind numbing thing ever, trying to keep track of all the different rules they added every week.
Right. I think AJ Styles will be ready to come back if I'm not mistaken. I know he had an ACL injury. I don't know what his time frame is, but we should be seeing him. Get Karrion Kross to have a real storyline. Because they messed him up when they called him up and then they let him lose while he had the NXT title. That's where they messed him up there. And then after he dropped it, they made him look like some type of he was on the Ninja Turtles and Krang and Shredder looking like. I'm like, who? I said, Vince, what are you doing to this man? Like you completely just messed him up. Completely messed him up.
I'll say I was happy when they brought him back with Scarlett. I've always liked his presentation. I like his promos. I like everything about him. Never really necessarily enjoyed his matches too much, but I really do enjoy it. Like everything about Karrion. His matches just aren't my thing, but
you need to go back to not having hair because it's still weird to me with him with hair.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get some new faces in the draft. You know, call up some NXT people. Maybe they use Dexter Lumis. Maybe he just still being a creep right now.
I was gonna say that would be nice because that's all he does is just creep around, which I know it's his gimmick, but I'm starting to get to a point with him. Like, all right, can we see like expansion of the character? Can we get a little something new? Like,
Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley. I think because they was backstage, it was him and Mustafa Ali, and that could be a match.
Oh, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah, that definitely will be a good match. Bronson Reed is back, so definitely use them. Why not bring back Sanity? I mean, Eric Young ain't doing nothing.
Right?
He's literally doing nothing. And Sanity was so good in NXT, and I was like, they're gonna get called up, and nothing gonna happen, and nothing's happening.
Yeah, they just got called up at the wrong time when Vince was still in charge and just had no clue what to do with them.
Nope. Kept Nikki Cross, then you made her Nikki Trash with that superhero crap. All that irked my nerves. When she won Money in the Bank, Brett, I was low down heated. I was like, why? Why did they make her win this? Why did they make her win this briefcase? Oh, I was mad.
Yeah, I was just sitting there like, this might be the most irrelevant thing to ever happen. I just do not care what happens. Like, they might have her beat Charlotte, but Charlotte will just win it back a couple weeks later, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so we don't know what's next in line for Charlotte. I don't think she'll get a title shot right back. I don't think she'll have, Rhea had that for a while. Will she fight Bianca? Who knows? Will she go to Raw? We don't know what the shakeup's going to be. Maybe Bianca and Charlotte could be next. I don't think they fought yet.
Oh, I would take that, or just keep Charlotte away from the title scene for a bit. I like Charlotte. I don't think I would. My only issue with Charlotte as champion was that one stretch with her and Sasha when they just hot potatoed the title back and forth like 7 times.
Yep.
And after that, it just really felt like, all right, we're really just trying to force her to pass Ric Flair's record in like a quarter of the amount of time. Like, at this point, it's going to be who has more title reigns, her or R-Truth with 24/7 title reigns.
Right, the 24/7. I was like, oh my gosh, R-Truth is just with the 24/7. But last thing before we go, I was about to say is why they didn't. If Triple H is really in charge, do you think he can bring Naomi back?
I don't think Naomi comes back to WWE. I think he could. It's just weird. Would she come back? Probably. I think Triple H could pull it off. So I'm not closing the door on it, but I think that Naomi just seems like a really creative person. So I think that what she would probably end up doing is I think she'd work the indies or maybe go to AEW or Impact. something along the lines like some to stay independent. Then you have more freedom as to what you can do outside of
Right.
wrestling. You can control your own dates. So I really feel like that. I'm not going to say never. I think she probably does end up back maybe as a Royal Rumble cameo, and maybe with another run later down the road. But as of right now, I don't see her coming back, and I see her just enjoying her creative freedom that she has right now.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Like how they did her. I mean, she was had the women's title, then she got hurt, and then y'all take the tag team titles off of her with her and Sasha, and then y'all did her dirty that day. That's when they told her to go home, and I just went down her from there. Then they said it was rumored she was gonna be in with the bloodline, which made sense because she's married to Jimmy. Like I think that would have been dope.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have been down for that, 100%. At this point, I just don't. I'm just not sure if they're going to bring her back. I don't think they do. I think it's more so it's probably they'd be interested. I'm just not sure if she's interested at this point. And if I were
Yeah.
her, good for her. I wouldn't be either.
Right, but there you have it. No, I'm not going too late tonight. Only an hour, but we did get to cover some little fun topics, some segments. Hopefully next week we'll be back. We'll break down some more things. But tell the peeps where they can find you if they don't already know.
You can find me on Twitter at all lowercase Brett Gardipee, and that's Brett with one T, GARDIPEE. I'm also going to be recording and releasing some of my podcast episode, Guardy 3, this week, so you can find that on Spotify and Anchor. And if you want to ask questions or continue the conversation about said podcast episodes, look up the Guardy 3 page and give it a follow on Facebook.
Sweet. I know Brett has wrote some articles on the Sports Empire Network, so make sure you go check that out as well. I'm interested to hear about another wrestling one. I know you did the Omos and I know you did the Bloodline thing, so that'll be cool to see another article.
So I got a couple planned out, so hopefully soon.
All right, all right. Well, appreciate you, Brett, coming on. That's another episode of Line in the Sands. We'll be back hopefully next week, maybe possible, with Cool and Chase and the other crew. I know it's basketball time, so we did have to bring some type of wrestling in just to mix things up. But appreciate y'all for watching, all the watchers out there. Y'all have a good evening, and come on back next week. See y'all.